New Orleans Sewage and Water Board's antiquated drainage system performed well during Hurricane Francine.
But some of the same problems our down the drain team found back in 2017 reared their ugly heads once again. WWL investigative reporter David Hammer is here now with answers as to why some areas of the city took longer to drain.
As Hurricane Francine barreled toward New Orleans yesterday, the Sewage and Water Board told me its drainage system was as ready as it's been in a long time.
A typical peak load, we need about 44 megawatts. We've got 70 available, so having that redundancy is key.
So looking good, but again, difference between readiness and execution.
Then the eye wall of Francine dumped about 4 inches an hour on the city.
I get a call, a text actually from my mom, going from all good to water's pulling up in the back and front, to immediately after the whole downstairs is flooded.
I caught up with Eli Durham at 11 p.m. near his parents' house in Lakeview. The water was not receding.
How much can a homeowner in this area do before they throw their hands up and say, I can't afford to do this anymore?
Sewage and Water Board Executive Director Ghassan Korban says overall, the system performed well.
All hands on deck, all night long, just making good decisions that really paid such dividend for us in terms of all these good things that happened.
But pockets of the city like Lakeview and New Orleans East were hurt by some of the same old failures. At Pump Station 12 in West End.
One pump station where we had a glitch there.
At Pump Station 7 at the end of the Orleans Avenue Canal.
We also had some issues with one of the frequency changers that we use to power some stations.
At pump stations on outfall canals in New Orleans East.
We rely on energy for power, and when that happened, we started our backup generator.
And a new problem caused by lack of confidence in an old one. A century-old generator called Turbine 4, broken more often than not over the last decade, was finally ready to go.
But last night was the first night that we actually really put it to good use. So we have not been using it, and the level of confidence with the Turbine 4, being so old and, historically prone to breakdown, we don't want to put a lot of load on it because, again, you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Instead, they put their faith in their newest power equipment, diesel generators called EMDs, until an auxiliary generator that powers all of them failed at the worst time.
Nothing happens in 10, 15 minutes. Usually it's a 30-minute or more increments, unfortunately.
Korban said if he had to do it over again, he would have made Turbine 4 the main source of power, the EMDs the backups. But it's all academic until they get a new turbine and dedicated energy substation, now targeted for next hurricane season.
It's cobbling together all these pieces of equipment and just transitioning from one to another. It's not like a switch. If I can just go and switch on I would do it in a heartbeat.
David Hammer, WWL, Louisiana.
There were still some lingering problems in New Orleans East today. Residents in the Oak Island subdivision said water in the streets actually rose as the Sewage and Water Board tried to pump down the level of the drainage canals.